Tech talk, news flash, AI rolling in future in a dash. Digital dreams, cold and safe. We got the vision, never out of sync. Circuit board buzzing, world of wire. Tech trends blazing, digital fire, innovation leading.
It is visible.
Pretty good. And it's the correct way. So not centralized in Digital Village. We didn't really have anything to put up on screen because we have been running around really not prepared for this. But I think this is a good quote. We use it in our slide deck and stuff.
In my career, I have seen 2 tech demos that struck me as revolutionary: the GUI and ChatGPT.
He meant GUI, but yeah, GUI is fine.
Yeah, bloody GUI.
Yeah, the GUI. You know the.
I read as is.
Okay. Chris reads whatever is on the screen. He is Ron Burgundy, Chris Burgundy.
Yeah, that's it.
Go F yourself, San Diego. But yeah, Bill Gates said that, so like it's pretty important stuff. There's an AI event tonight that Data Science and AI Australia is running, and I think within a week of opening, it already filled out 140 people have signed up, and there's a wait list that's downstairs tonight.
And in this building right now,
in this building,
we sit. Stone and Chalk, Startup Hub.
It's Fishburners.
In Fishburners.
Yeah, I don't think I can say that word in here. Apologies. We're filming in Stone and Chalk, and we love Stone and Chalk and stuff. But we do go to the other events.
It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine. I'm not going to turn into a flame. From saying
it's
the
a
words.
Startup environment. This whole building is built around startups.
Yeah.
Fishburners is part of that ecosystem.
You guys use a lot of level 1, the city startup hub.
Yeah, it's a great
how great
space.
is it? Like,
it's awesome.
If you're starting up and stuff, like literally, it's a place that you can go and get free internet.
It's government funded. It's a free space for you to find somewhere to do some work. You can have your whole team there taking up all the space so no one else can find seats. But it is awesome.
Yeah, what he said. So I guess the point of this podcast is for us to talk about digital disruption. That's the key thing for us. Now, why don't we get started in terms of, like, this is supposed to be an intro. I don't know if that is all part of the intro or it's going to go into bloopers. I
think it could be intro. I think that's quite important. I think we start off telling everyone who we are and how we like to work, get a vibe of our personalities. Is that how you say that?
Yeah, or too much of personality.
Too much,
I've been told. But how did you...
ADHD.
Well, before we get to, like, what you do, like, given that a strong topic right now is, like, generative AI... How did that come about for you? Where were you in November 2022?
I was there, like, as it launched on the internet, seeing the social platforms absolutely go berserk. And I was like, I need to get involved in this. What is it? I loaded it up.
Okay.
I got my free account, typed in a few things, and then I didn't touch it for a month as the news continued to roll out about how it was going to take everyone's jobs and disrupt the whole world. And here we are today.
I remember it was like kind of funny because people were doing funny things, like not the workflow stuff. It's like, hey, make the national anthem sound like it was made by Pirate or Homer Simpson doing it. It was all the fun stuff at the start.
I mean, that's how it comes out, right? It's you start with the fun things. It definitely wasn't anything that could be integrated into work and business. It was all done for personal fun as an initial launch, and like the internet as it does made a meme of it. It was fantastic.
Maybe that's how, like, a lot of these other apps should start. Just do something fun at first. If you're going to do a Salesforce type thing, make it fun. Hey, it's CRM for kids.
It's right. It's ChatGPT, the CRM for children. Have fun, guys.
Yeah, and then, like, afterwards you go, hey, hang on a second. This is like a workflow tool as well. So, I don't know.
That's what it's become. It's kind of, I would say, like it is become, let's be real. AI has been around in its general form for quite a while, right? Like it's ChatGPT is revolutionary. It came in a point off the back of a huge tech boom around crypto, around blockchain. Like that was, that was now on the back end of that trending down and everyone's looking for the next big thing. AI comes along, fills in that bubble really nicely.
The Gartner hype cycles. And stuff
that's
where
it.
You have the curve. I think for blockchain, like it hits peak hype. So if people don't know, like we start off like we're going this way, I guess. Oh no, this way is fine on camera. No, that's the wrong way.
Don't use the camera. the camera is inverted, but when you'll see it, it'll be normal.
And yeah, this is why I'm so bad at spatial stuff. But in any case, if you're going from left to right, it would be that you have the peak curve first, and then you get to the trough of disillusionment before you have the maturity curve.
Yeah.
And it's lower in terms of the hype that's there. Hype is measured on the y-axis. And so the hype in blockchain is now maturing out. It's not as strong as it was, I would say, before, because
Yeah,
more
very
mainstream
much.
groups coming in. But with the AI hype, that's really at this strongest kind of phase. And now we're starting to, I don't think we've seen a dip yet. I think it's still very much the strong hype with
Yeah.
valuations of companies, and what Nvidia lost six point whatever it was percentage points, which is like nothing for most
Well, they were-
companies. And that was like nearly over $500 million.
Well, they'd just overtaken Microsoft.
Yeah,
on
they had
for
just.
market share, like in terms
Yeah.
of just
Not anymore.
huge amount of
They went backwards.
ridiculous amount of money, and then within a week, lost that $6 billion or so dollars, and now they're just sitting a little bit under them.
Yeah,
I
but
don't feel bad.
that'd be okay.
I think it's
No,
fine. Like it's
yeah.
$6
Nvidia-
billion out of the 100 plus that it is. Like it's. I know the world is like, oh my god, they've dropped market share. It's like, come on, guys,
it's fine.
It's like a couple percent. It's fine.
The note, fun fact, SIKE, which is an app that we have built and we'll talk about on the show. I don't know if we'll do it on this one, but we'll definitely talk about it like much more, maybe even showcase some stuff. But it's an NVIDIA Inception partner. So they've got this Inception program for startups that you can become part of, and you get all this support from NVIDIA. And it means something because they have to actually choose you to be part of it. So
Let's start with the sneaky plugs.
Ooh,
Tell
yeah,
us about
yeah.
SIKE.
Okay, so SIKE, it stands for Secure, Intelligent, Knowledge, Enclave.
I feel like you just made all that up.
I did not. Actually, so we can thank Nick Bishop, who is a partner over at Not Centralized. He's focusing on a whole heap of other work and stuff at the moment, but he helped us grow this thing. And mid last year, when we were going down this journey, we were already using we were using ChatGPT early on and training people on how to do stuff with it. And then we decided to actually build something. And so SIKE came from this need for businesses to have privacy when they're using these GPT tools. And what better way to have privacy than to have stuff that stays onshore? And so because we do it with Microsoft Azure, they bought half of OpenAI, or they're the biggest shareholder. And so they get access to the same models, which means that in the Sydney servers, the Australian servers, because we're using that, it's privacy preserving. When you're talking to the AI, you're not talking to OpenAI and sending your queries overseas. It stays here. And then another thing we did was that using Azure services, we put on there like a server, a vector database that sits on there. So we're not relying on third parties. We're doing our own, using open source tools that we've had to piece together. But it means it's all in corporate Australia is just safe, that it's here onshore. So that's the main thing. And
Which is the biggest risk. That's the biggest risk when it comes to AI, right? It's security. It's what's your data being used for? What is it? How is it being used?
And we've seen a lot of companies that they do this where they make it private in whatever way, shape, or form. Some are even doing stuff where it's on-prem. And I think, okay, you can do that, but we're going back to pre-cloud kind of days. It's a bit harder to think about that. But look, some are doing it, it's fine. This is our way of tackling it. But
which is a funny thing you say, because a lot of companies now are moving away from cloud. And there's like the big movement to push away from cloud because of those risks that it's caused. Even the cost of the environment as well, like just these huge cloud servers. So businesses are starting to pull all this stuff internally, not just because of AI, but for many other myriad of reasons.
No, I think it's a very good point. And we've seen it in blockchain as well, because that's like a super intensive kind of space. By way of background, and people should probably know what you do, what I do.
I was going to say, we've gone straight to the talking and sneaky plugs before we start.
The intros and stuff are good, but
this is us.
Quick way of background, because there's just so much things to like drop in terms of knowledge that we want to share and discuss here.
Which is the point of why we're here. This is like,
exactly,
let's get it out there.
Background is in data, working in data science and financial markets, and then also getting into blockchain. But just on that note, with the blockchain thing before coming into AI, blockchain was seeing that kind of stuff where it's like energy intensive. But I think one of the big arguments is that with most things going to green energy, if the sources of information, the sources of power are green, then the energy concern isn't so much there.
Yeah.
But I do get it that some are looking to find ways, because we're not fully there yet.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
And Chris, what do you do? Why are you here?
I feel like you sort of like spiraled off what you did. You said your background.
Yeah, I did.
You didn't talk about NotCentralised.
I mean, they're not centralized. So I wear a few hats.
You
as you know.
You do some amazing things. Networks and
Too many.
businesses.
I wouldn't say they're amazing. No, they're pretty fun. Like it's hard. I don't do compliments that well. Like I don't know what to do with my hands when there's a compliment. Where do I put my face like this? Like what do I do?
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys. So yeah, we do a few things at Not Centralized. Like so currently, by way of background, is that we are a venture studio and we build in blockchain and AI. So Arturo and I, we worked in data science in London, an investment bank, Canaccord, and then I moved back here, worked at the ASX and did other things, head of technology for an accounting firm, etc. And then Arturo moved over here as well. So what was fun was getting into the blockchain space and doing the AI stuff. And so we build in that. So venture studio means that we're builders of products. We create things that are used by our clients, like either we help them build their startup and their projects, or we're building our own, such as what we're doing with SIKE. And then on the side from that, like I run an association called the Australian DeFi Association, and I was also former president of the Data Science and AI Association. Just for fun, there's never too many things that you can do. I don't have much in the way of a life, so yeah.
That's an awesome. No, that's pretty.
Thank you.
You've got an incredible background, and I've enjoyed working with you over and seeing the businesses that you have grow, as well as the networks. Obviously, we've been working together and helping out with that as much as I can, and seeing it evolve to what it is. It's pretty awesome.
And we have known each other for a bit longer.
For a long time.
We've only worked together in the last 2 years, really.
Yeah. But
do you want to go all the way back?
Our lives crossed with two close friends of ours and the relationships that they had, and we've become mates ever since.
Yeah, absolutely. So
it's good.
Small world. Like we've known each other for a little while. So yeah, and you told me before we even started working together a bit about what you did, and it just went over my head. But for the audience,
the easiest way to summarize what I do, I've always been in digital production and user experience, which has been probably my latter part of my career. So similar to the stuff that you're talking about that you do now, I've been helping businesses, organizations, corporates, small, medium, and large to develop products, get them to market, and in sort of over the last sort of 10 years, very heavily focusing on that customer experience element. How do you create products that are tailored to the needs of both the market, the customers, and the business, and making sure that there is that product-centric mindset in how they deliver stuff. So yeah, quite technical, always about process and how you get from A to B as quickly as possible.
And you helped us out when we were starting the association, one of the OG members of the Australian DeFi Association. And you also helped us out when we were trying to figure out Not Centralized and what that was going to look like. So, I can definitely vouch for the work that this guy does.
Branding, marketing, it all fits into that equation. Go to market, everything. It's been good fun. It's been a journey.
And I think that's the key thing. Like everyone comes into this hype of AI space from different angles, and it's all about something that I say a lot to people is that I haven't seen any role where AI doesn't, when I say AI, I'm talking generative AI, because there is the difference between the traditional stuff that's been around for a while and continues in terms of hardcore, like data science, machine learning, all that kind of stuff. Generative AI more for like the GPTs and the large language models and that newer kind of stuff that we're experimenting with and finding some interesting things on. I think the key is that you come into it from an angle, like you're trying to use it, you guys are using it in your day jobs in terms of improvements for clients and what you deliver. We're doing the same thing. So, yeah.
Well, I think obviously the core thing that we want to talk about over the myriad of episodes I hope that we are able to do together is focusing on the trends in the market, the technologies that are out there. And obviously the biggest thing right now is AI. So it's probably going to take over a lot of our discussions, and you and I are both heavily involved in that, from working with our clients, our customers, and even utilization of it for ourselves. Two of the topics though that I've been very interested in around is what is AI as it currently stands? Because I know, as we hinted before, AI has been around in kind of the traditional sense for quite a while. You can go back, like Grammarly is a good example of a learning tool that helps people write. That's been around for years. We've got things like Spotify that have had their basic algorithms, or kind of like that narrow intelligence.
Netflix,
right? Netflix has it, in terms of how it forms it. So this narrow intelligence has been around for a while. And then along comes ChatGPT, right? And there's always been this fear mongering around AI in itself. ChatGPT pops in, suddenly that barrier drops a little bit, and everyone's like, okay, I'm going to start using this. This seems a bit interesting. It actually impacts and gives me some, some experience that I haven't had before in relation to AI. So this LLM, obviously these large language models, and it is, I guess it kind of touches into that general intelligence format, but it's technically still a form of machine learning, right? It's still an algorithm that accumulates insights, accumulates data, accumulates everything out there in the net, stuff that we've written, stuff that it's heard, listened to, etc. And it makes a prediction on what the output is based on your input. So I guess the question is that I put out there is like, is it AI in its truest sense? Or is there a next stage to what we're going to experience quite soon to become, what AI is in the movies, or
Yeah, I guess a very simple way for
super
folks.
AI, you might say, or some sort of, proper artificial intelligence.
Super intelligence.
Super intelligence,
AGI, when we get that general intelligence that you can just give it anything and with little instructions, just like a human, it can pick up and learn.
Yeah.
But in terms of where we're up to right now, it's this world where we're figuring out, just with the GPTs, generative pre-trained transformers is what it stands for, and you can look that up. We're figuring out like what the extent and limits of it are, and there's arguments over like, does it do reasoning or not? But just if we go back to the basics, think about, and we're old enough to remember this, so giving away our ages here, but the old Nokia and other phones where you had text, predictive text, and it would predict the next letter. This is like that, but on steroids, because it's got so much more information. The predictive text has like a library of potential words. Like if you type in TH, it's likely going to be the, or could be something else. But
Exactly.
predictive text depends on the input that you're putting in, and then the output is based on that. So when you're asking a query at this larger scale with GPTs, you're giving it a lot more context by the query. So if I said, what is blockchain? It's going to look through its database of seeing, okay, I've seen this what is blockchain thing before, or something very much like it, and here is what it predicts is the next word, sentence, paragraphs even, depending on how much you're asking for. And because they've fed it so much information, what they can do is create various different features. They have like, it's not even a 3D grid, because there's so many different features, like the sentence, what is blockchain? Okay, so there's a technology element there, there's a question element there, or like the cat is in the tree and the dog is on the ground. Those two sentences would be very closely related, because it's animal, it's descriptive of position, versus something where I might say that the cat is in the tree and I'm doing work. Now those two are very far apart, or further apart, but they might be related on one thing, which is describing persons and animals and stuff. So there might be relations there. So if you imagine that with all the things it's been trained on, from whatever it has scraped, legal or not, on the internet, it's basically showing us that there are patterns to language.
Exactly.
There's mathematical patterns to language, which I think is like the biggest breakthrough, because you can get it to seem like it's reasoning, but it's basically just math. It's a probability output that's coming. Like, I've got a 99% probability that this is what the next paragraphs and words should be.
And to clarify, it's the mathematical solution there is around the implementation of it in a technological sense, right? I think languages and math has been around for quite a while, and it's like it is how you get countries speaking in certain accents, and like that pattern has always exists. But translating into something that can then predict what is going to happen from a technical perspective is that's brand new, which is quite amazing.
It's we've had these ideas before, but we just haven't had the technology. Like, they had ideas for AI and all these things for decades, but they just didn't have the technology at the time. That's always been the limitation. You're limited by and tied back by and grounded by the technology you have at the time. But what's interesting is that because we've seen that this is how it works, you think about like, who's really good at language? Lawyers, anthropologists, maybe like have a good understanding of history, and if they're academic language, like if you think about what we can do with these tools, where you can ask questions and stuff, but we can actually get them to do actions. If they're tied to, say, Python or R or SQL, you can instruct it just like you can with ChatGPT, with function calling, or with Claude Sonnet 3.5, which is the new crazy tool.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. If you haven't played for it, check it out. Like, especially if you're in any kind of tech development, UX research, prototyping, this Claude 3.5 is
Yeah.
it's
We'll
a
show
level
it,
up.
We'll show it on screen, like on another show,
Yeah.
like live and stuff, so you can
There'll
see
be a
it.
lot of episodes where I think we'll
Oh.
go through some new releases of things, technologies that have come out,
It's
advancements
crazy.
in AI. It's
Well,
like
and let's talk about that. But like, if you think about how the future is, and Andre Karpathy, who's a great AI researcher, he said that the best coding language is going to be English. Well, I mean, he just means language, because obviously you can do it in other languages and stuff as well. But just by being able to type and think out your thoughts and put them on paper, like, you'll be able to get.
And if you think about the progression of coding, it has, into a sense, like it started to move in that direction. Obviously, the introduction of LLMs have like skyrocketed that immensely. But if you look at, we started off with C++ languages, which then moved into, things like HTML, where we started defining, types of what it is that you need to create with language. And then things like React and Java, where this is literally almost word creation code language.
Yeah.
What's the next iteration of that? It is, all right, let's just type in a sentence and hope that it gives me an output that I want.
And I think it'll work well when you've got that kind of programmatic type thinking, where you think about like laying out the ingredients of, a problem that you're trying to solve. Well, if this is the project I'm working on, I'm going to need these ingredients, like client feedback. I'm going to need these ingredients, my style of writing. I'm going to need these ingredients. Chris is the lead consultant, so Chris's ethos and thoughts on AI. I'm going to need that as an ingredient. And then the cake that I get to make is from knowing how to piece those ingredients together. That's what we get to do now. We get to be programmatic with how we create solutions using language. So it's a fun place to be
cool.
in. Never thought in a million years that we'd be doing, this is how we'd be doing it.
And not really contemplating or like comprehending, sorry, the word I'm going to use there, how fast it would suddenly change. Like,
It's crazy.
November, boom, out comes this LM, little bit, it's kind of fun, it's kind of cool. I remember showing it to a couple of friends who were pulling together some job descriptions for their business. And they're like, fuck, this takes forever. Oh, we spend so much time in that. I'm like, mate, last week this thing came out, check this out. Got them to write in the JD, boom, suddenly within a page, it turned their half a day job into 30 minutes.
And it's like, well, what do they do with the rest of their time?
Yeah, and now, we've got ChatGPT 4.0, which came out a couple months or a month ago, and then Executive Cloud, and we got all the other video AI generation tools now, the image generation tools.
Crazy.
Like it's just accelerated beyond comprehension.
On that note, though, just jumping in that topic of like the video ones, because this is a lesson for like, we're both like startup founders and stuff, and I guess a lot of what we people we work with is in the startup space. We're in a freaking startup hub right now.
Yeah.
But they released Sora, so OpenAI's version, which wowed the internet. And they released that on a day when I think Google was coming out with an announcement. Then they released Sora, and it just downplayed everything Google did. And so they released the video, but it wasn't the actual product. And so there's this, everyone's been waiting for it. And then all of a sudden Luma comes out, and Runway, so Luma's got their thing called Dream Machine, which is not as, I guess, in some ways, maybe not as good looking as like Sora, but at least you can use it right now, right? Versus like Sora from OpenAI, which isn't even released yet. And then Runway, which is a company that's been already doing text to video for a little while. They had Runway 2. Version 3 came out a few days later. So like all of a sudden it's like, wow, we now have access to this stuff.
Competition like of getting stuff to the market. And actually it begs the other question that I listening to a few things the other day. There's like, I think it's brought up in The Verge, it was brought up in A16Z, brought MKHB has talked about on his YouTube channel. It's that idea of AI. Is it a product or is it a feature? And it came all about, I think, you had Samsung releasing their Note 24s recently, Galaxy Note 20, Galaxy 24 Note, whatever it is.
I'm on
has
Google.
a whole bunch of AI tools all plastered into it. And then, just 2 weeks ago, we had Apple releasing all their AI features or announcing their AI features into their...
And calling it Apple Intelligence.
Exactly
AI.
right.
Yeah.
And those tools, those features that have been released have made a lot of applications or products within the App Store almost redundant, right? It's like we've got now these tools within the phone to edit images. We have the texting features built into their messaging apps. We have image generation tools within there to create meme photos or like pictures of myself, and
Yeah.
all of that stuff is now embedded into the phone as features. And if we think about even how ChatGPT has evolved as it starts, it's now becoming the core or the underpinning of a lot of large organizations' products that they're releasing to market. Apple's one of them.
Yep.
We have even Microsoft uses it, obviously.
Yeah, Copilot, yeah.
With Copilot, etc. So these large AI businesses are now becoming feature subsets of other larger products. So it begs the question, is AI going to stay as a product for a lot of organizations, or is it going to become a sort of a requirement, a feature set of all these things that are coming out? I think it'll go sway both ways, but I
agreed.
think one is going to dominate the other, right? Like,
I think, like many a good lawyer that we deal with and work with and even interview in the blockchain space and as well as AI, the answer I will repeat from them is it depends. It's all contextual, and I think different scenarios are going to dictate different things, because something that when I think about this, there's a couple of things that come to mind where it's like, well, what's the point of building something when you know that they're just going to come out with a feature, and one thing is that they're not there yet, or they haven't been there yet. So it was right for these companies to just go out and move fast and technically break things and stuff and iterate and get something to market and make it useful. And if they've done that very well, but then it's a game that you have to keep playing. You can't just stop and rest, because there is this looming pressure that the Googles, the Amazons even, and the Microsofts are going to create something in Apple. And then another thing I remember that, you look at Forms, like Google Forms, Microsoft's Forms and stuff, and then you've got Typeform as a separate company that's worth a couple of $1 billion, and they make forms really nice. Typeforms are great, right? Now, the argument would be, well, if Google or Microsoft just made theirs just as easy and good, would it take over Typeforms? Because Typeforms, I think for me, its selling point is its features and how easy it is to use. But even then, like, I think there's still a strong argument for these other companies to still exist, but they've just got to keep on innovating. It's like not one of those things where I think you can just rest if you do challenge what you know is going to come from the behemoths.
I think you're spot on there. I come at it from obviously that UX lens of things, where right now we're in this sense of people don't really know what the future of AI is, or how it even fits within their businesses and their organizations, their companies, etc. Right, where everyone's still in this learning phase, and the only way you can get through these learning phases is by having these products to test and understand how it fits in with your ecosystem, how your users, your businesses, etc. But as we settle down, as you're saying, as we come to the bottom of that trough, curve of that innovation curve, we're going to start seeing things more transition into that feature set, and you'll probably find that the large corporations, large businesses who are already integrating it, they'll be the ones that stay on top with those as features, and you'll have this sprinkle of products for the underlings of the world who don't want to pay the big bucks to use the big products, right? So you'll have this mixture of the two, which is exactly what we see with every other thing in the world. The Typeform is a perfect example. It's a multi-billion-dollar business, not because it focuses on enterprise, because it's able to focus on people who don't want to spend all these enterprise software solutions. They just need something to fit that one purpose within their business, and it does it really well.
Adoption's like great for them, and I think that no matter what it is that you're doing, like you really need to think about what is the problem that you're solving, and if it actually needs AI to begin with, because that's another part of the hype. It's like you see, what is often attributed is blockchain hype. So companies putting blockchain in their announcements, or changing their name. Even the Long Island iced tea company change it to the Long Island blockchain something. And you see their share prices shoot up because algorithms that are doing trading see a signal and go, oh, change your name, or it's in the announcements, pick up that little signal and buy more. But
do we just release the secret of how to make your share price go up?
I mean, I think whether the SEC or like here in Australia, ASIC wants to take a look at that information, and you've got to like be realistic behind what it is there. But I'm just saying that whether it's listed companies or just private ones, just putting in their decks and their website saying that, hey, we do AI stuff now. Is it, and this is a question, I think, it's like we've got this really new tool that unlocks a lot of capabilities for consultants, and especially consultants. I think that's one of the greatest things, one of the key areas for us that it's going to open up. And there's a reason behind this with what we're doing with SIKE. I know that there's going to be end users, that's fine, but the ones that are going to be powered the most are the consultants, because not everyone is going to have the time to go through and, do things with ChatGPT even, or like tools like it. But consultants are, their game is going to be leveled up so much more because of tools like this, and it makes sense. And the reason I say that is because if we go back to maybe this is for another episode, how these tools work, they're probability models. The reason they hallucinations is basically a matter of you not feeding it the right context. You're asking about Apple, but not specifying, it's Apple computers or whatever, and not telling it the right steps to execute. So context and execution, if you can control those, you can control the outputs and reduce hallucinations. But when people don't do that and they just let it be, and they don't even do checking at the end, they don't validate it, that's what leads to hallucinations, like lawyers not checking the work and seeing these cases as precedent put in front of a judge. Now, experts come in because if you don't know the field and you're asking a question, you're not going to know if that's right or not. There are ways that you can use AI to help you better validate something, but the ones that will best validate are experts. So as much as I think that the rising tide will lift all these boats, so to speak, I think the ones that will gain a lot more from it are the experts, because they're the ones that would be able to quickly tell at a glance or from reading something that, yeah, this is good or it's BS. And it's not the thing's fault. It's because the expert or whoever's using it didn't put in the right context, the right documents or notes, and didn't tell it the right instructions. But if they do, they're the ones that'll quickly validate, and they can do so much more with their time. So I think there's an unlocking of capital, human capital, expert capital that comes from this. So it's quite exciting.
I think it's interesting. As an interesting point, I can't remember where I heard this story from, but it's that idea of, a new thing comes out, new technology comes out, and suddenly there's a lot of fear that, oh my God, this is going to take our jobs, this is going to do all this stuff. And to an extent, that is true, but it also unlocks a whole bunch of other jobs and opportunities. And it happens time and time again. It happened when the car first hit the market, or when the wheel first hit and people stopped using horses. People were like, who's going to clean up the poop on the streets now? There's no poop. We've got cars. Like what? And they just moved on to do different and more innovative things.
And the industry builds around that as well, because when cars were first coming out, we didn't have paved roads. It was cobblestone. And so there were complaints about, oh, look, the cars, it's rough, it's bumpy, they're not that good, or they can't move that fast. I'll just take a horse, it's faster. But it's because we didn't build the infrastructure that helps that thing go faster. And the figurative, like paving the way, they literally paved the roads, and we got trucks and motorbikes and other forms of transport. So there's always going to be the naysayers, though, like we have with blockchain, like we have with AI. But it's fascinating to think like what this is the worst that AI is going to be, like right now.
It's only going to get better. And this is where I do challenge the consulting mentality, because AI does get better, its understanding of how to respond and having those incorrect or inaccurate responses will decrease drastically. And it will get to a point where it will become usable for all. But I think it's just a matter of when, to be honest.
Yeah, exactly. It's not if, but when.
But when, yeah.
Really. What excites you about this future? Like, we're here in the middle of the year. It's literally 3 days to 30 June. So we're literally mid 2024. What are you looking forward to in terms of like the rest of 2024 when it comes to using AI?
For me, it is about the experience. And I'm not saying that just because of what I do, but in terms of...
It's what he does.
Yeah, it is what I do. But it's more around, right now, AI is in a very disconnected state, where you have a tool that serves, an LLM, you have a tool that serves imaging, and, Apple and even Samsung have made some strides to now you put it all in your phones. Now you have this one device that has a whole bunch of AI tools on it. But they're still in a very disconnected state of usability. So you've got things like Copilot, which have obviously, we've got Microsoft releasing their AI laptops, which are taking that step forward around that integration.
If you're okay piece. For it to keep
if you're okay, yeah, exactly.
Screenshotting. Right. No, they got funnily enough, that feature called recall, they're recalling it.
They're recalling the recall feature? Yeah. I love it.
It's a total recall.
Hey, there we go. That's the reference we want. So the experience is still disconnected though, right? And even if Copilot, obviously there's a bit of a personal level of information, but you could still have it where you may go into my phone, I may type a message and instantly the predictive text starts occurring with the AI tool integration. Currently, you have to turn it on. I have to type and then go, hey, AI, do your thing. It's not an integrated experience with what I do. And then I'll go switch to an image, and then I open up my pictures and I want to edit something, and boom, I have to press the A button to interact with it. Currently, there isn't a situation where no matter what I do, this AI feature isn't enhancing everything without me telling it to.
Yeah.
So I'm excited to get to a point where that experience becomes much more seamless, to a point where I don't even know it's really occurring.
Yeah.
But not to an extent where it's like interrupting or knowing about my personal engagements. Like, sure, you can turn that on and off. And everyone's got their opinions. Some don't care, some do. Probably many do. But it's about how it predicts or understands the actions of things that occur to then make that experience that you're about to do more seamless.
Absolutely. I think
That's the part I'm excited about.
I think that that is probably coming sooner rather than later.
Oh, definitely.
For some, and I say some because it is all context dependent, the ones that will come for sooner are the ones that open up and let it look at a whole lot of what they're doing. Because, I mean, yeah, we laugh at the whole recall thing, but if you had an AI that understood how you use and do your work when you're in work mode, and maybe you can switch it off for non-work mode, you're going to get, these inputs that are profound in terms of what you do. Like just telling it, here is a project that I'm doing. Okay, so another really key point that I think is important to say, and for people in the audience to think about, is that we had this saying that like AI is going to take over jobs, and then to quell that, we said it's not going to take over jobs, it's going to take over tasks. So all the mundane tasks you don't want to do that are just tough, and you'll have AI doing that. But what it led to, I think, is that people then saw it as, oh, it's only going to take over tasks, and so they don't use it in terms of thinking, well, how can it help with strategy or like other things that I need to do, which you as a user might think of as like clever work and ad hoc work. And yet it's quite powerful at that. If you told it, here is the problem, here is what I've thought about for the solution, and that's all I've thought about as the human, it's going to tell you more things because it's built off all this collective knowledge that you don't have. So I think
Which is exactly how I use it for all the research and interactions that I do when I conduct a bunch of research when it comes to products validation. I will usually 9 times out of 10, depending on what the client needs, have my own assumptions based on all that data, and then AI comes in on top and either validates or adds something that I would have definitely missed, or anyone would have missed, because of one little thing that someone said.
Perfect.
And that's the power of how it builds on what I do.
I think that's definitely one workflow, as well as on the other end of the spectrum, the automation of those mundane tasks. I think it can be both. ¿Por qué no los dos?
Yeah.
Why can't we have both?
Why can't we have both?
We should put the...
That's the episode title.
Though.
Episode title? No.
¿Por qué no los dos? Why can't we have both?
Well, I'm conscious of time.
Yep.
There was a few newsy things you wanted to get through. Is there anything you want to cover off quickly?
Yeah, I think we'll cover it in the next episode and stuff. We'll bring some examples of how we've been using Claude Sonnet, because that is unlike you just getting code and, you're asking ChatGPT, like, how can I do something like with this? I want to create this, give me the code for it. Then you have to go off and do it. Claude is actually giving you a preview window where it's doing it for you. So got some exciting things to show there. The whole music kind of space, you're going to see an intro from this, which will probably be AI generated. So that'll be interesting. And then just the video stuff, we haven't had time to experiment with that, but we'll definitely want to talk about what is happening in that space. Really exciting stuff for clients and people that are just generally interested in this. You don't have to be a client to watch the show.
Yeah.
So
exactly. And there's lots of tools out there beyond the stuff that is, Claude's and the new ChatGPT 4.0 and Apple. There's lots of other things out there that are existing that are empowering us through AI. One I learned about recently is Cursor, which is it's a really powerful way to assist how you develop. And so as a developer, a coder, it supports the actions that you do. It makes recommendations, corrections, or errors, as well as also doing trialing, validation, corrections, and fixing up mistakes that you may be making. So rather than taking over, it's supporting the actions that you do. And someone was telling me a story how over the weekend, there was someone fresh out of uni doing developer work. They sat down with this tool overlaid and pretty much trained them up within a weekend how to do coding that they hadn't done before. And so there's this, these new waves of tools that aren't just taking over, like ChatGPT, use take over in inverted commas, but also just supporting and improving how we do work without interrupting it, which is pretty cool. So I'd love to talk about more of those in the future.
Definitely, yeah. We'll bring that up. We'll see some like little news articles and some animations on here, I'm sure.
Love it.
But yeah, thanks very much for this first episode.
Yeah,
Thanks for
fantastic.
watching.
Nice one.
Make sure to subscribe.
Yeah. Catch you next time, guys.
See you guys.
Bits and bytes, we taking flight. Algorithm shaping bright new light. Future forward in your ear. Podcast beats stay crystal clear. AI